Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Kia ora, ladies and gentlemen, and all of those in between. Today's episode, on Long Story Short, we're going to take a look at a few DCs who actually thought they could get away with some really horrible deeds they did. So, without further ado, let's go check out A Long Story Short. Hickory dickory dock, who's next to get the chop? Ah, this guy, Jason, I forgot the E. Ravnsborg. Though he doesn't meet the requirements for a DC, if I ever get a chance to smack someone in the face that has a job where they are always telling people to do right and be righteous, and they don't do as they preach, well then, hickory dickory dock. You see, Jason here just happens to be the State Attorney General, the AG, the boss of justice without being the dread. You see, one night, just like any other night, Jason is driving down a road and suddenly a deer jumped onto his car and bounced off. So he calls the cops and the sheriff turns up and they took a look for the deer, but it was better at playing hide and seek than them. So the sheriff, being a good guy, gave a squad car to Jason so he could drive home and go nine-eyes, because that's what sheriffs do. And Roscoe P. Coltrane's brother waited upon the towee. So the next day rolls around and Jason went back to find Bambi, and instead of finding Bambi, they find a dude that's dead. A very dead dude indeed. Joseph was just being his being, walking down a road. Anyways, Jason calls P. Coltrane, and a couple of days later they bring him on down. Now, they've already tested him, and they haven't any alcohol in his blood, even from before, so the coppers know he wasn't drunk at the time. Hit, Mr. Beaver. You see, Jason here does have a little problem for our prosecutor. It is that he never saw the deer, but it's one of those make an asset out of you and me. But see, the coppers know a couple of things that just don't add up. The first is that Jason's phone was watching some news by itself around about the same time as the accident. Secondly, there are drag marks on the road, though that's not too bad. But the thing that really makes you think, and it's not a very nice thought at all, is that in the back seat of Mr. Righteous's car, there's a broken pair of spectacles. Told you it wasn't a nice thought. So anyways, with all of that said, in a long story short, that's where we are right about now.
So what would you think, though, if I told you that when they did the phone extraction, they found some internet activity on your phone around that time?
Well, I guess I don't not use my phone, but I did not use it at the time of the crash. No.
Okay. What were you using it up to the time of the crash?
Not that I recall.
So, outgoing call, 1024. That's what time you made the 911 call. So, and that's all fine and dandy, you know. But leading up to that, at 1020, you unlock your phone, signed into your Yahoo Mail account, and then signed out. At 10:20:49, you were on the Dakota Free Press. Do you remember any of these?
Well, I remember looking at it, but that's when I set my phone down prior to. Yeah.
Okay. So when the impact happened, that phone was sitting in the center console?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I was not looking at it when it happened. I won't say that I was. No. I set it down, and I went to hit I shut the radio off, and I looked at the speedometer.
So, did you see the glasses?
They're Joe's glasses. I wondered about that.
So that means his face came through your windshield.
So part of the evidence that is really convincing is there is bone scrape on the inside of the rumble bars. And that's where his leg was likely broke. That's where the pieces were at.
So how did he get farther down the road? I mean, did he ride? How did that?
His face was in your windshield, Jason. Think about that.
And you're going 65 to 70 miles per hour. So
I didn't see him in the face, no. I did not. I do not know it was a man until the next day.
And how did it all end up? Well, really good actually for one of them, because Jason here ended up getting a $1,000 fine and no jail time, pleading guilty to no contest to using a cell phone while driving. Whew, justice, blind as a bat. Hickory dickory dock, whose neck is next on the block? Oh yeah, let's go meet the Feebles. Jerome Ersland. Oh man, is this guy a clown? He's one of those clowns that lives in a fantasy world where he's like a war hero, a war-torn veteran, and he's been overseas storming castles and saving his Americans. Instead, in reality, he's been an Air Force pharmacist in Oklahoma. And one day, Mr. Feeble, while running his chemist, two young DCs enter the fray and try the old standover tactic, but Mr. Feeble here wasn't having any of that, and of course shot the one who wasn't carrying a gun in the head and dropped him, and the other juvie DC scampered away. Now, what makes it bad for our fantasist here? Well, I'll let this guy explain.
The second suspect, 16-year-old Antoine Parker, was not armed, according to prosecutors, but was putting on a mask. The store pharmacist retreats, grabs a pistol, and starts shooting, hitting Antoine Parker once in the head. The pharmacist, Jerome Ersland, then chases the armed robber down the street, firing 2 more shots. Approximately 15 seconds later, he comes back inside, walks past Antoine Parker, who prosecutors say was lying unconscious on the floor with a bullet wound to his head. Jerome Ersland grabs another gun. According to prosecutors, walks up to Antoine and shoots him 5 times in the abdomen.
So old Feebles here, he calls the cops, as he's meant to do, but then starts diving into that whole fantasy thing going on.
Pharmacy emergency.
You said you shot somebody.
Yes, he's dead.
What is your name?
My name is Colonel Jerome Ersland. There was 2 of them. They came in both with guns, both shooting.
Unless you're Sanders, Colonel means nothing to me. So, anyway, the boys in blue, they go around, pick up old fantasist here, bring him down to the station, and then we can, walk with him through this fantasy island of his.
I have PTSD from being in the Gulf War. Okay. Yeah, I killed a lot of people there, but I had to do it. I got hurt there, that's where all this.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, he fell off a ladder while stacking shelves.
Okay. Yeah. So I was a platoon leader from Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay. Does this fucking idiot, it makes you think, does this fucking idiot know what the word detective means?
I saw these 2 black guys with gray masks, and then they had guns. And the ladies were right by the register, and they said, I want all your money and all your drugs. But then the guys got real mad because they didn't get it, and they started shooting. And then they said, he's got a gun. And so they continued to fire, and then I started firing, and I took the one on the left and I shot him, and then the other guy ran out of the store.
How many times do you think you shoot at this guy that goes down?
Probably 5. Okay. But he kept staying up.
Okay.
And I was afraid he was going to get the girls.
So, how did it all end up for Phoebes? Well, murder one and life. And as for the DC juvie that got away, well, he was given a second chance at life for being a witness against Mr. Feeble, and he turned his life around and became a respectful member of the prison community forever. Geniuses, they are fucking everywhere. Let's take a gander at one of those DCs. He's one of the reasons why whenever I go into a department store, I always take a glance to see if there's any old men walking around the kids section, just in case I should go introduce myself in the most horrible of fucking ways. But that's the only way to deal with DCs like these. And this DC's called Michael Bailey the pervert. He's one of those DCs, and he's been walking around the kids section exposing himself while trying not to be noticed by someone like me. But it hasn't gone so well, and that takes us to about now.
So what happened at
Well, I was shopping around and couldn't find anything in the clothing. Couldn't find anything else that I was interested in. I left.
You want to start over and tell Detective English why you're here, or do you want to continue going this stupid route?
No, I don't want to be on a stupid route. I said that I was following people around, and he said that I was exposing myself. Well, I've never in my life exposed myself. I mean,
really?
Maybe revealed. The clothing I had on was revealing, but as far as bare skin.
Okay, Michael, listen. These discs right here are of you exposing yourself and fondling yourself in the clothing section while you followed a young girl around in that section. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. There was a lady who caught you, who saw you with your genitals exposed, following her granddaughter. No, I'm telling you.
I've never had my genitals exposed.
Okay, all right.
That's a fact. I would never do that.
Okay. But you were touching yourself.
Well, that's true. And, the clothing I had on might have been a little revealing, but there was no exposing my genitals.
Well, I called came to our city to do one thing and one thing only, to get your rocks off by looking at little girls. You walk down the dairy aisle, and if we need to show that DVD to you, we will. With your shorts pulled up so far, your junk's hanging out. You offended a mother and her child. You obviously enjoyed that. And then if that wasn't good enough for you, you went over to the little girls' clothing aisle. Now, how many bargains do they have for 65-year-old men in the children's clothing aisle? Zero. None.
We ran your picture by everybody in these two incidences so far, and everybody, without hesitation, picked you out in this photo lineup as a man who did these things.
For the last 10 years, my blood pressure's just been spiked like crazy. And so I've had almost no sexual desire over this last 10 years.
I think there may be something going on with the younger girls.
Well, this is true. I do have a fascination with younger girls, but that's as far as it goes.
Okay. What's the youngest age of girl that you've ever fascinated about?
I don't know, 6, 7.
Okay.
How many times have you exposed yourself or masturbated while watching a young female child in the last 30 years? Too many to count?
I don't know.
Because you've never been caught, have you? This is the first time you've been caught, am I correct? Or have you been caught before?
No.
You're blaming it on blood pressure and this and that. So you know what? While you're talking here, all I'm hearing is blah, blah, blah. Because I've got a 3-year-old girl that I just interviewed that said that she never wants to see the bad man again. You have changed that child's life. I'm discouraged that you won't take responsibility for your actions. Detective, I don't want to talk to him anymore.
Okay.
So, how did it all end up for our pervert here? Well, since he's one of those perverts that was very good at what he did, he never got caught before, so he ends up being caught this old, this time. And because of all of that, he ends up only getting 3 years probation and a suspended sentence of 200 days in jail. So, when you look at it, this episode, and you liking it, is far more costly to this pervert. DC's. Right, who's fucking next. Now, this next one, well, I need to get off my chest, which is about as flat as hers as well. Sherri Papini, the fucking genius. Everyone knows this chick. She's a fucking mental who lives in La La Land and came up with a genius plan one day on self-kidnap. She even slapped herself with a dead fish and a lighter just to give it some realism. Unreal realism. And of course, it was the Mexicans again, because they love doing bad shit to Wahine called Sherri for some reason. Mexicans. And because it's a J for Genius plan, she's sitting in front of a dick in a Fed wondering where it all went so terribly fucking wrong. But she's got a plan. Plan B, which is to not help the feds, and she doesn't want one of the Mexicans to be caught because this Mexican helped her escape and Genius owes her.
You seem scared, Sherri.
No, I'm not scared.
What is it?
I don't want you to find her.
We're not going to find her.
You see, the cops are quite certain that they are sitting in front of a DC because Genius here didn't think that the cops would test her clothes that she was found in and come back with DNA. Not from those Mexicans, but from this guy. And who was this guy? Well, this guy just happens to be her ex-boyfriend, James, and he's a genius as well. Now, before we jump back in, I would just like to tell you the role of this guy in this equation, who has no idea that he's about to find out that he married a fucking genius.
The DNA that was on you belongs to James Race.
And when we talked to him and confronted him with the DNA,
He told us what happened.
He 100% told us what happened. He said, it's not an abduction. She asked me to come get her.
No.
I rented a car.
No.
I drove up and picked her up.
You can go a couple different directions now.
His story.
I've already told you lying to me is a crime. So you walk out the door telling lies, and that's a crime.
So, hubby's had a gutsful of this DC and vacates, and the dick and the Fed get back to chewing on their Papini.
Flirting with other men, not a crime. Lying to me today, yes, a crime. Big difference.
Does James need to go to jail for all this stuff that you asked him to do?
Ask for this.
No, nobody asked for this. Nobody asked for ABC News to park out in your driveway.
There was no way you could have predicted that this was going to blow up and to be as big as it was.
What? I'm going to get in trouble.
You're getting in trouble.
I am not. I didn't do anything.
But right now, answer this one question. Did a female point a gun at you, yes or no?
I am done speaking to you until I talk to a lawyer.
So, what did DC get for her genius plan? Well, 18 months locked up for lying to a Fed. And what about James? Well, STD probably, but that would be all. The true winner here is the husband, as he found out that his wife was DC and hit the divorce button and bailed with the kids. And I'd say he got a good case, as long as family court judge sees what she did is more than a mental issue. It raises to the level of a DC genius. Right, who is next? Oh yeah, this mental. Right. Now, someone else who is fucking mental is this clown. His name's Jonathan, which is an excellent name, I reckon, but last name doesn't fit so well. Oddi. Anyways, mental here. He wanted to play some golf with Big Don, but Big Don wasn't having it. So, mental here broke into Big Don's National Floral Golf Club and started doing all this shit. So the coppers turn up, and he's one of those mentals who acts like they're giving up and then starts shooting back, as his army of one is obviously going to win that fight. So he gets shot up, as you can see here. His right leg gets whacked, but just like the Energizer Bunny, he keeps going until he couldn't. Then he wanted to be friends real fast so they could take him to hospital and plug the holes. So they did. And now, well, now we get to hear what Mental has to say and why he did what the Mental does do.
Thursday, turning to Friday, basically, I went to Donald Trump. I went through the decades. Basically, what I did that for is to transmit a statement to the American people and to Donald Trump that we're not accepting any more corruption and abuse from their system of France. Okay? They've been promoting a hate agenda against Trump. So people hate, okay, because they know he is very alpha, okay, very alpha in the sense that he likes money, he likes to make money, and he likes women, and they want him out of the government, okay? But it ain't happening because it's too smart for them. You understand what I'm saying?
Trying to, right?
Don is intelligent. We have a similar type of intelligence and overview of things.
What was your state of mind? I mean, what were you thinking?
Cool as ice. I went there, I knew what I was doing. It's not like I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was doing, and my point was, take down the flag and put it in the front desk and call the police, shoot the chandelier, to tell them to stop getting Saudi Arabia money. I would like this to be told to Donald Trump. Tell him I'm a supporter of him. I love him. I don't hate him. I know what his issues are. He has an issue right now with him that's bugging him a lot. It's called Stormy Daniels, right?
Man, that is crazy, right? That is crazy. But you want to know something even crazier? Is that he was ruled competent to stand trial. Word of advice, if you play for a psychotic break from reality, don't have a plan or a purpose. Geniuses. If you are new or even an old subby of mine, Measy, I'm on a project. And to me, Measy, it's the most important project of them all. And that project and its effects will make a whole industry completely safer. And really, it is the one that should be, because people are at the most vulnerable when they have been drinking. And that project, it's called Safe Bars Aotearoa. This YouTube channel and everything that comes from it is built to raise funding for this project. It has its own website. That website address is, that's right, safebarsaotearoa.com. When you get there, you can take a look-see at the project and even become a part of it, a member of the actual project team. And if you do that, well, then you can get hold of our merchandise. And what's merchandise? Oh, didn't I tell you? Our merchandise and every single piece of it has meaning, which means that it's now merchandise. Make sure when you're over there, take a look-see, because we have tane and wahine, that's a man and woman for the less cultured of you, merchandise called Merch and I, or even start learning a language. So make sure you come check out the channel's project website. Remember that address. That's right. Come join the team. Tell your mates. Tell your mates that your YouTube channel that you watch is really fucking different. See you there.